Good up.
This is Channel 253.
On this episode of the Grit and Grain podcast.
So I have to ask, when you say I'm serving you hop water, does it make people twist their face up like I did and think bong water? like it's some really horrible residue that you don't want to spill?
That's a super valid question.
Okay.
And
That's after the podcast.
Channel 253 is member supported. I'm producer Doug Mackey, and I hope you will show your support by going to channel253.com/membership and join. Thank you.
Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast, where we explore and celebrate the craft beer industry, community, and history in Tacoma, Washington, and surrounding Pacific Northwest areas. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's get to it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast, coming to you guys from Peaks and Pints in Tacoma, Washington. So much excitement every single week.
That's right.
So yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. My name is Matt McLaren. I'm here as always with Ron Swarner.
Well, hello.
How's it going, Ron?
Feeling like a Washington rep on a red eye back to Tacoma. Tired of the shutdown, but damn proud where I'm going to land.
Ah, how sweet.
Very well played.
No kidding. Already with this. Our resident pro brewer and line cleaner, Bethany Carlson, is on the mic. What's up, Bethany?
Hello, what's up?
How you doing this week?
Good. Just getting ready for Halloween, and the kids are asking every day when it is. It's soon. It's very soon.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, if you're listening, this comes out.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry.
Today?
No, it would be today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy
Right.
Halloween, everyone.
Yeah, this is our Halloween episode. Doug's on the mic. How's it going, Doug?
Indeed.
This sounds a little Star Trek-y.
Is it? Not so ghost, space ghost.
Okay.
A little sci-fi. So yeah, this I suppose is our Halloween episode. So the joke all day has been our costume today is going to be a political podcast versus a beer podcast. However, you guys have heard us say many times that beer and politics have been intertwined since the inception of both. So this really isn't as far out of our wheelhouse as you guys might think. And with that, we have a fantastic and esteemed guest today. Ron, who are we talking to?
Oh, just someone who's seen Tacoma from City Hall and Capitol Hill, Matt. Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland joins us today.
Huzzah!
Hey!
Thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
I am
Absolutely.
so thrilled to be here in Proctor, in Tacoma, in the better Washington.
It is the better Washington, that's right.
It is.
I'm kidding. Washington's great.
I'm going to start off with a really long intro to a question.
Absolutely.
The first time I met Tacoma's mayor, we were sitting at Pacific Grill with 30 of Tacoma's biggest players and international economic development superhero, Richard Florida. Remember that?
Yes.
Wrote Weekly Volcano scribe Paul Schrag in the 2010 Best of Tacoma issue, the Weekly Volcano, and where the public nominated Mayor Marilyn Strickland Best Politician, and it was your first year as being mayor.
Yes.
Yep. Wow. You were named Best Politician.
That was during the honeymoon phase.
Yeah. He goes on to say, we talked about hip-hop for a while.
Yep.
We talked about Tacoma Soul. Then we talked about local politics. It didn't take long to realize that she loves this city. She means it. And I know when I'm catching bullshit, she loves the city, and she loves it for what it is, as well as what it can be. That's more rare and more important than you might think. People always talk about Tacoma being gritty, responds Strickland. But there's a lot of beauty here. I have a full appreciation of what's an honor it is to be mayor and what an honor it is to do this work, she says. When I walk around Tacoma, I feel responsible for everything. Everything I see, I'm responsible for. If I see a cup on the ground, I have to pick it up. I feel that responsible. Mm-hmm. Marilyn, when you're back in D.C., what do you find you're missing most about Tacoma?
So first of all, thank you for having me here. And there's a lot to miss right now about your hometown when you're in Washington, D.C. And for folks who have never spent time around Congress or on Capitol Hill, I think there's this idea that it's really glamorous and exciting. And I tell people that governing is pretty tedious for the most part. And I spent a lot of time going from my modest apartment to Capitol Hill and not really much in between. And so whenever I come home, it's like, this is where you get to touch grass. This is where you get to appreciate 60 miles of shoreline. This is where you get to appreciate fantastic neighborhoods and small businesses. And so it's just always nice to be home, and to be home for more than 2.5 or 3 days and having to turn right back around and go to D.C.
Yeah.
You, Ron, your quote was fantastic. You kind of mentioned the sort of grittiness of Tacoma,
Yep.
and you know, I think a lot of people who live here understand that that's a huge part of its charm. That's kind of the inception of the name of the podcast. Is, you know, we wanted to kind of tell the stories of the folks who you know have had to sacrifice quite a bit to kind of make their dreams come true in this industry in some way. What does grittiness mean to you in Tacoma?
So when I think of the term gritty or grit in reference to Tacoma, I feel like for so long, civic leaders tried to run away from that description or moniker as though there was something wrong with it.
Right.
So let's have a museum district, let's have a university downtown, all amazing assets that we should be proud of. But when I hear Tacoma described as gritty, that's a badge of honor. That is something to be proud of because it means we're unapologetic about who we are. And so I think that's a very good description of Tacoma, an apt description of Tacoma, and there's beauty in that.
Absolutely. I jumped in before we asked anybody what we were drinking.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
We cannot continue.
I know, we do.
Yes, we must pause.
And a very important question.
That's fair.
Matt, what are you drinking?
So I have Fort George's Menos La Cerveza hop water. So we're doing mostly NA today. So I heard that you maybe were a beer drinker at one point and then maybe are only drinking NA stuff now. Is that right, or no?
Yeah, so here's the deal. So because of my demanding schedule, flying back and forth, you know, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. And so it's just hard to maintain doing your job and getting good sleep when you drink.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I've decided to go NA. I mean, you know, I'll have, if you guys had a tasting in a flight here or something, I'd probably take a little a sip.
All right.
So, you know, I'm not going to like
Busted
be
that
all
door wide
righteous
open.
about it. I'll be righteous about, you know, special occasions, I'll have some champagne. But generally
Sure.
speaking, I don't drink.
Of course.
And so, and it's really funny because sometimes when you say that, you feel like you have to explain it. It's like, no, it's just not for me right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's so much to choose from that is non-alcoholic. So that's
That's true.
fantastic.
many
That is so
options.
true.
More and more
So-
every day.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we pulled a couple of those options today. So
Yes.
fantastic hop water. We're going to try some Sierra Nevada Trail Pass and then Guinness NA Draft Stout, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, when you say I'm serving you hop water, does it make people twist their face up like I did and think bong water? like it's some really horrible residue that you don't want to spill?
That's a super valid question.
Okay.
And
That's after the podcast.
What do you think about it? Do you like it?
It's good. It's very light, very mild. It has a very beautiful rose tint to it, and it has a nice nose. So yeah.
They add a bit of fruit to it. I know it's almost
Absolutely.
like an NA rosé
Exactly.
in a way. So yeah, hop water is like it's a relatively new, popular concept in beer, but it kind of, I think, kind of to your point, there's a lot of folks who sort of realize that the lasting effects of alcohol
Yeah.
on their brain function is just starting to become more of a gamble than they want to take.
Yeah.
So beer adjacent categories have stared to come up, and so hop water is kind of one of those things.
And also too, like you're dealing with waste, right? So let's put it to work.
Right. Which is totally true. Some of the varietals hop water actually uses a part of the hop that mostly gets thrown
Yeah.
away, and there's still some compounds in there. And so there's
Absolutely.
a bit of sustainability in terms of its production and its inception too.
Excellent.
And that Guinness is becoming more and more popular.
Yeah, I saw this on the table and I said, Guinness makes a non-alcoholic
Yes.
something or
Yeah.
other.
It was the most, at the Great American Beer Festival in Denver, it was the most popular NA beer there, it seems like.
I don't think I've had it yet.
Yeah.
It's really
I have not had it either, so
can't
this will
wait.
be
Yeah.
a treat for all of us. I guess.
excellent.
Ron, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking
do you
Sierra
have?
Nevada Celebration, which comes out at
Yes.
the end of,
Is it a holiday beer?
it is, but it's also a fresh hop.
Okay.
So they use whole cone cascades and they fly it down to Chico and make it the day they pick it.
Mhm.
Oh, it's a staple. It's so good.
It is. It's
Signifies kind of the end.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Signifies kind of the end of
It does, yeah.
It's like the end of harvest season.
Yeah, it kind of does signify the end of harvest season.
But you will definitely see it still around in Christmas time.
Okay.
Right.
So speaking of the non-alcoholic, I guess got to do a side here. So now that I see Guinness here, it really gives me hope. So there was a beer that I loved that came in a 22-ounce bottle called Brother Thelonious.
Oh my God!
No, listen.
Oh my God!
So listen. So I'm really weird when it comes to beer. So either like Pilsner and lagers, or something like deep and sweet and Belgian. I can't stand an IPA. Sorry.
Don't apologize.
But if
Don't
there
apologize.
is a non-alcoholic version of something that resembles Brother Thelonious with that profile, that's sweet and heavy, but non-alcoholic, you'll have a customer for life. I will be the spokesperson.
Their minds are spinning. Look at that.
I know.
So that's your challenge.
Self-care would be the
Yeah, self-care.
Anything would be the
Olympia.
closest.
All right.
Yeah, they're Olympia Brewery.
Yep.
And they do fantastic non-alcoholic beers. And kind of for that same reason, they do stuff that's like relatively indulgent in that
Yep.
way. And I think it's to kind of call to that. Brother Thelonious is one of my favorite beers. And I want to say maybe just 2 episodes ago, we spent a good 5 minutes gushing about
did.
it.
Oh, you're kidding.
No
Oh my God,
kidding.
I haven't had it in years because remember that 22-ounce bottle was like, when 16 ounces isn't enough, but 40 is too much, you got that 22.
Yeah, it's the elegant choice,
exactly.
really.
It's down to 12 ounce now.
Yeah,
The 22s are disappearing fast.
they are.
Somebody asked me what I'm drinking.
Yeah, what are you drinking?
We have the sneak peek of the new house IPA, which is called
yes.
gonna be
Yeah.
what? Called what?
So our 9th anniversary is Saturday, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Every year we do a house IPA and a house cider. And this year, Lumberbeard Brewing in Spokane brewed our house IPA. And this year, you'll find that it's a little bit more brighter than past. And it is amazing.
It's really good.
it's
Nice
excellent.
and
It's
soft.
really,
You were
really
saying a
good.
nice mouthfeel, Matt. Like it's really, really excellent. Nice job. Right.
And it's in that ginormous can.
Yes. Again, the elegant
Yes.
size.
So I secretly tapped it before Saturday so we could drink
Okay.
it.
So you could taste it.
It is an IPA, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, come down tomorrow and
Yeah,
drink it.
come down tomorrow.
See, Doug was listening. It's an IPA.
The house cider is by Finn River this year. It's
Okay.
called Buckhorn because Buckhorn a mountain sits between us and them. On a clear day, we can see the mountain together.
Oh, very cool.
So that's kind of lovely. We're going to have Barley Wine Review, the Bluegrass Band,
Okay.
play, and we're going to have new T-shirt and Lumberbeard canned the IPA. And so,
It's a huge celebration of local business and art.
exactly.
It's called Cut Off Flannel. Is that right?
Cut off flannel IPA.
Cut off
'Cause
flannel.
I typically
What does
wear-
that mean?
I typically wear a flannel that's cut off at the arms.
You'll see it on Saturday.
No
doubt.
I run hot, and so I cut the sleeves off.
I love that.
Yeah, and I'll definitely be wearing one Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're listening, hopefully you guys have free time on Saturday. Come through.
6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bethany asked a great question actually before we started recording. So I'm going to ask again, but she asked if you're living in DC or if you're staying in Washington, or how much your time kind of gets split between the two.
So when Congress is running as it's supposed to, you typically spend 2 weeks in D.C. or more, and then the other time here in the district because, you're in D.C., you're having meetings, you're writing and passing laws, meeting in committees, and then here you're at home in the district because you don't get to spend a lot of time here. So lots of back-to-back meetings with community members, different groups, and right now, of course, there are a lot of press conferences happening. So when things are normal, that's the pace. But we are not in normal times.
Right.
And so, gosh, nothing about this is normal. And so right now I'm spending a lot of time here in the district. I will go back to D.C. next week because we are allegedly in session the first week in November, but
Right.
we'll see what happens.
Sure. The beer industry is, I feel like any kind of specialty craft industry and community
Yes.
is a way for a lot of folks to, have a channel to focus on their local community and
Absolutely.
local business. And so a lot of times that can kind of come with, dialing your scope in pretty tight and maybe not getting a feel for what's actually happening on a broader scale. So for anybody who isn't paying that close attention, what is happening right now?
So not much. And
Nothing next.
But why?
no. Yeah, so let me try not to give a very technical, wonky rendition of what's happening.
Sure.
So back in July, my colleagues across. So let me just start with this. So I'm a lifelong Democrat. I was a proud Obama delegate, and Paul Schrag wrote about that in The Volcano, by the way. And, and I try to work in a bipartisan manner whenever I can.
Of course.
But there are just times you can't. And right now, there was a bill passed in July, which essentially will take health care away from 15 million people.
Right.
And we call it the Big Ugly Bill. And part of that includes taking away coverage that 70% of people in nursing homes and in skilled nursing centers get paid for. So it's not just taking health care away from people. We're talking about kicking people out of nursing homes. In addition to that, there's the whole situation with SNAP benefits, which are food stamps. And then today, the press conference I did with food assistance and assistance for women and children. This is formula, breastfeeding, all kinds of things where we try to support young families. And we're not doing anything because government's shut down, and the Democrats are saying, unless you're willing to address those issues, especially the healthcare crisis, you need to court us and tell us what is it that you plan to do to address that. Otherwise, the Senate Democrats are not going to vote to keep government open. So that's why we're having a, quote, shutdown. And, it's one of those, what does a shutdown really mean? Well, it means a lot of departments and agencies that support the American people are not working right now. Unless, of course, you're walking around masquerading as ICE agents wearing masks, or I call them the modern-day KKK, or you're sending National Guard troops to cities because you claim it's a crime issue when you're just trying to intimidate people.
That doesn't get interrupted at all.
No,
everything
else does. No, in addition to that, you have a president who took a bulldozer and destroyed the East Wing of the White House. That is just unbelievable, to build a really tacky, gaudy ballroom, and it's going to be tacky as hell.
Yes.
On
I
top
saw
of
the
that,
AI renditions.
then he wants $250 million to get reimbursed for his legal fees, because why? The guy's always in trouble legally. And so there are things that they're willing to pay for, and then there are things that they're not willing to pay for. So it's just cruel. It's un-American. It makes no sense, and that's why we're at this impasse. So Democrats are like, you fix health care, you tell us what you're willing to do, and we'll come to the table.
Sure.
But right now, there's no desire for them on their part to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a long explanation.
No, it sounds like you need a beer.
I need a whiskey. I do. Two bottles.
Two bottles.
Don't drink beer anymore, but whiskey?
Right? Exactly.
But you're not going to have a new beer because it's the TB is shut down because of the shutdown.
And certificates of label approval are also not being processed right now. So
and if you're waiting for a loan from the Small Business Administration, that got put on hold.
Right.
If you're a minority business owner, they have done away with the Minority Business Development Agency. So a lot of things affecting small businesses in a really, really big way. And I remind folks sometimes when we talk about the line of business you're in, people think, oh, well, it's hospitality. They're making beer. They're serving food. This is a small business that you're running.
Right.
And you need as much support as you can get because you rely on customers, but the cost of doing business is even. I think I see these cans that the beer comes in. When the price of aluminum goes up,
Yeah.
that has an effect on your expenses. Exactly.
Yeah, that's already been a big one. And there's even prior to the shutdown, which is kind of its own stranglehold sort of separately, there was already businesses in the industry. It's going to affect all of us who listen to this, who watch our videos, who drink craft beer. It'll kind of affect their decision making because you have folks now who have to decide how long they can continue to eat the increased cost without raising prices, without hopefully not, but without laying somebody off, without having to downsize in some way. That's a terrible decision to have to make as a small business owner. And it's already tough. Things are already, the cost of living is like going up all the time. So, this is kind of a category, this sort of craft premium, product is already a category that kind of gets on the chopping block early when things start to become unaffordable. It's just tough.
Yeah, and there's a small brewers caucus in Congress. There's a caucus for everything. But there's a small brewers caucus started by Washingtonians and Oregonians in Congress. So I'm a proud member. It's very on brand for us.
Yeah, we have some priorities for sure.
You got these breweries that have, they got their calendar planned out, and they have all these. They've created this marketing program. They have all these beers waiting to come out. They spend all this money, and now they're just stopped.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's because of TTP shut down.
Yeah.
And all their plans are. It's the the alcohol tax and tariffs.
It's the TTV.
Bureau.
Bureau of Alcohol Tax and Tariffs.
But what I think you pointed out is interesting, because I think some of the things that people don't understand, like when you run a business, you have to plan things out way in advance.
Right.
Yeah.
Your hiring schedule, your supply chain, where you're getting your materials, everything. And so one disruption can ruin everything.
Right.
It's almost like when there are flight delays in Chicago, it disrupts the entire system.
Right.
And they're still paying taxes.
Yep.
Does it feel like there's 10 disruptions going on right now?
It feels as though every hour on the hour I could have a press conference if I was chasing every shiny transgression. And so we're just trying to stay focused on the healthcare crisis,
Sure.
because that affects a lot of people in ways that are exponential.
Right.
Wow. And Matt, I'm sure it affects distributors too. Their plans are all screwed up.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
So I work for a small local distributor who I work with mostly like very small businesses.
Yeah.
We are less than 20 employees. Most of our brewery partners are, about that much as well. So
Right.
very, very small. And yeah, it's conversations that we have to have all the time. And it's, they're like, okay, how long can we do this? How long can we eat these costs? We don't know if anything is going to change
Yep.
in the next few months. Like things could just change overnight just based on the whims of, leadership currently. And that's, it's affecting, of course, every industry, but, this is a beer podcast. It's the one that we kind of keep our finger on the pulse,
Yep.
and it's just constant, it seems.
Well, and a lot of small businesses have employees who get their health care from the Affordable Care Act exchange.
Right.
And so the premiums that we subsidize make it affordable.
Right.
If those premiums go away, and this is really a big part of the healthcare fight, is that, some people we're paying $120 a month for their premium. It will go up to $700, $800.
Yep.
That's a lot of money. And then
Right.
people have to make some really hard decisions.
Yeah.
Right. We just got our health
Your
insurance
notice.
email. Just
Yep.
got our notice,
Yep.
and so that's a pretty shitty meeting to have to sit down and
It
go,
is.
hey, but what are we gonna do? We don't have an extra
Right.
$10,000 to cover our employees' health insurance. It's already tough. So that's a notice that every small brewery, every small business that does provide health insurance just got, and that is brutal. So that's really the crux of this kind of fight right now,
Yeah.
is trying to maintain those subsidies to keep the health insurance premiums low.
Yeah.
And as long as there's no negotiation on that, I imagine the idea is that hold the line until we can figure something out.
So, there was a desire to try to just address that one issue alone. And if the Republicans have said, okay, we're ready to talk about these premiums, and I think Democrats would have said, okay, let's have a conversation. And I want you to understand something, too. There were huge tax breaks given to bazillionaires that are permanent.
You're right.
And it's like, if you're able to give them permanent tax breaks, then why can you not extend this premium coverage for
Right.
people who get health care?
Which-
now, I would say it should be permanent. I don't like the idea of having to extend and revisit and revise every 5 years. It should be permanent. But again, this is the conversation that is just so difficult for them to have. And it's a pretty easy choice for us.
Sure.
But for them, they're just wringing their hands about it or not calling us to work.
Right. Do you feel like there's, not to keep harping on this, but it is,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
It's important.
It's on our
super
minds.
important.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like, as I mentioned, it's it becomes really easy to focus on community and kind of dial your scope into a point where you
Yeah.
don't always pay attention. And so I think with that comes susceptibility to maybe misinformation
Yes.
that's
Oh
very
my God.
targeted.
Yep.
And do you feel like there is a lot of misunderstanding amongst the general voter public about why the shutdown is happening and who's at fault?
So I would say a few things. I think for some people outside of the political bubble who pay attention, they're not even feeling the shutdown unless they may go to the airport and fly, or they're federal employees and they're not getting paid right now, but they're still being asked to go to work. And at the same time, we exist in an information ecosystem that is insane. And I think about my days interviewing with Paul Schrag at the Volcano, and you got your news three ways. You got your printed copy of the Volcano, you got the News Tribune, radio, TV, and the internet was still pretty new.
Yeah.
Now you are just fed a load of information, and you can do two things. You can engage in confirmation bias to find exactly what you agree with, or you get fed things through algorithms that just piss you off.
Right.
And so what do you believe, right? It's hard to be a consumer of accurate information. It just is. And so those of us who are elected leaders are trying to tell people, here's what's really going on, here's what's really going on, but within 30 seconds, 100 lies will come to try to undercut that. So it's a different environment to be a consumer of information. It's a different environment to be a voter, and it's even a different environment in which to govern.
Yeah. It sounds very stressful. Yeah, I mean, how do you, oh goodness, surprising. I'll ask one more, but how do you, how have you found yourself combating that sort of thing? I guess aside from being on a local beer podcast.
So it's really interesting. So, when you think about politics, and most people outside the bubble don't, I tell people, everyone needs to get real about how much attention is paid, because I think local government is more important sometimes, and state and the governor's office more important, because it affects your daily life in a different way. But I would say that this week I'm spending time in community locally, and so I'm not clamoring to get on CNN. I'm not clamoring to get on MSNBC this week, because being here with people in person and in community is just as effective as getting the message out. And so we had a press conference at the Eastside Family Resource Center. I've been on how many podcasts with Channel 253 now? Three so far.
And counting.
Yeah, but keeping it very hyper local, right? And also understanding that sometimes these long-form interviews give you more of a chance to explain things thoroughly than a quick hit on CNN or a quick hit on MSNBC, where the interviewer already knows what they want to say, right? And they're just trying to prompt you to say something. It's a different scenario.
Or you have opponents across the table who are keen to interrupt you.
Exactly. Interrupt you or undercut what you're saying. And so I think this is a better format if you want to get thorough information to people. So we're keeping it very, very local.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, it is break time already. Wow. We're going to crack open this Guinness real quick.
Okay,
and
can't wait.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is Eric Hanberg with Channel 253.
I'm Doug Mackey.
And Doug Mackey asked to keep this short. So here it is. $4 a month, $40 a year, supports Channel 253. Go to channel253.com/membership.
More so, we'd like to thank our members, especially our long-time members.
Now it's too long.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for hanging out during the break. As always, a good shout out to Doug, our wonderful producer.
Love you, Doug.
We love you so much. Shout out to Chris, who puts us on video every single week. Thank you so much.
May I just add, too, that Marilyn is appearing on 2 other Channel 253 podcasts, Citizen Tacoma. I don't know if you're going to mention this or not.
I was just about to.
Well, okay.
It's all right.
Now
it looks like I'm lying. But yes, please do go support Channel 253, where there are 2 other interviews with Marilyn Strickland that you can check out. So if you don't get the whole story here, you can absolutely.
Citizen Tacoma and the Nerd Farmer.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. And an extra shout out to Washington Beer Blog. Absolutely fantastic local news source for all things beer if you want more beer news that you're not getting here.
Thanks, Kendall, for writing about the party. Appreciate it.
That's so nice.
It was.
So we all have new beer in front of us, including the Congresswoman, who might try a sip of this. Ron, what are we drinking here?
This is Urban Family Brewing, which is in Seattle in the Ballard area, neighborhood. And it's Treehouse in the City barley wine.
Okay. So barley wine is a beer.
It is a beer.
Wine.
It is. Yep.
Okay, so that's a little confusing.
It is a little confusing.
Okay. And what's the story behind barley wine? Why is it called barley wine?
So there is.
Matt, here you go.
You just teed him up.
How much time do we have left? So there's like beer history is always like a little muddy, but generally the story is. It's a classic English style, so very popular in Europe. And as the socioeconomic classes started to divide and their proclivities to like their alcohol started to divide, wine was sort of seen as something that was, more elegant, fancier, more expensive, and beer was sort of becoming like the blue collar, cheaper, more, I guess, gritty beverage. And so there was an appellation law put in place similar to champagne, similar to cognac, where there are laws that say you have to follow certain strict regulations to produce a barley wine. So the idea was a beer that was an answer to the wine culture of Europe. And that's where it started. So you get these big, rich flavors that you actually might get in some wines, especially like port or like, really well-aged sherry.
Yeah, port. That's what I tasted.
Yeah. And it's a bit higher in alcohol as well. So a little bit goes a long way, much like a big wine does.
I'm just going to have a sip.
Please.
There's no such thing.
Yeah, not.
It's sweet.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It's very heady.
Not super different from Brother Thelonious, actually. Yeah.
And there is a bottle here in front of me.
There it is.
Yes.
Stranger's tempting.
I've never seen this in 12 ounces. I only know Brother Thelonious in a 22 ounce bottle.
Yeah.
You can knock that back in the car.
Yeah.
And then I need to call Uber.
Yeah. You can have a phone meeting in the back of an Uber. It's fine. So we were talking, you mentioned you were in Chicago trying some kombucha for the first time. Was that your first time trying
No,
kombucha?
I've had kombucha before, and we were I was speaking at some conference. It was a dead of winter. There were no tourists there, so we kind of had the city to ourselves. And so we went to a museum. It's like, oh, let's get a bite to eat at the cafe. I said, I'll have some kombucha. That was strong. I didn't know I could get buzz from kombucha.
Yeah.
It does create alcohol.
Yeah, it sure
a little
does.
bit. Yeah.
Still a little active.
Yeah.
Marilyn, I saw that you came out for the opening of the Asian Pacific Cultural Center. How does it
did.
look?
So it's really interesting. So I have a long, deep history with South Park, which is where the APCC, the Asia Pacific Cultural Center, is. And they basically took the old community center and they repurposed it. And it is just beautiful, elegant community space. I believe that every large event now is being held there, so the convention center is going to have a run for its money. But it's beautiful, it's very northwest, it's nestled in the park, and I'm old enough to remember in Tacoma when every summer all the different parks would feed free lunch. And the high schoolers would be the ones working there as assistants and watching a bunch of kids in the waiting pool, screaming around, running. But it was so cool to be there for the opening of this because I felt like, wow, full circle. I grew up 6 blocks from the park, and now I was watching the APCC have its new facility open, and it's gorgeous. So I encourage anyone to take a look. There are art galleries there. It's welcome. It's open to the public. But you should check it out.
Cool. I haven't made it yet. That was August, right?
Yeah, I think it's like 50th and South Tacoma Way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be
Nice.
Yeah, I've
Cultural
already
hub, yeah.
attended 2 events there.
yeah, it's going to be a cultural hub for sure.
Yeah.
We are drinking. So we did pop the Guinness on the break. Mixed reviews.
What do you think?
Like Bethany kind of made a good point. Is like this feels like as good as any beer gets. Sometimes it usually doesn't exceed this, especially if you're just used to drinking like very rich, full flavored, leaded beer. But this is actually pretty good. It's got like a little chocolatey, it's a little malty. Like they do a good job of kind of hitting on the flavors that you might expect in a Guinness.
Maybe like some other NA beers are better if they're more hopped, because this obviously isn't super hopped or anything. Because that hop makes up for the the smack you get from the alcohol.
the little
The bite, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be right. And Guinness itself isn't, it's kind of
It's smooth.
Yeah, it's
And
smooth.
It's smooth and flat.
Yeah, exactly. Get it together, Guinness. You've been doing this for 4,000 years. You can't figure out.
No, so when I was in Dublin, I visited the Guinness, the mothership.
Yeah.
And it is one of the biggest tourist attractions in Ireland.
It is.
Wall-to-wall people. 3 floors. It was amazing.
Have you seen the Netflix series yet?
I have not.
It's pretty amazing.
What?
Whoa, wait, you mean like the drama?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The House
Yes.
of Guinness.
Okay,
It's
so
fantastic.
I was on the plane and I started to watch it, and you kind of have to be in the mood for that type of drama. And
Right.
it was in the morning, so I probably wasn't in the right frame of mind. I thought to myself, this kind of looks like a knockoff of Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, it's
what it
Peaky
reminded
Blinders
me.
for beer nerds.
That's what I thought when I saw it open.
Same people.
The opening.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Well, that
Yeah.
explains it.
Yeah.
Did you know that there's a small chunk of the exhibit in the Guinness brewery, like in the tour, that actually mentions Puyallup, Washington as the mecca of hop
Oh my
agriculture?
gosh, amazing.
Yeah.
See?
So there's, we just had Shelley Schlumpf on from the Puyallup Historical Society to talk about their new Ezra Meeker hop barn that they're trying to build.
Very cool.
Fantastic project, and they're hoping to preserve kind of the original hop agriculture that took place in Puyallup long before it moved over to Yakima.
Right.
And so Puyallup is actually listed in Guinness as kind of the mecca of hop agriculture, and so visitors from Ireland will come occasionally to visit the Ezra Meeker Mansion in Puyallup.
It's amazing. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's cool. So I'm hoping that that's a project that, works out and is successful and ends up being kind of a live, living museum of like hop history.
Remember when you live blogged the Democratic National Convention?
I do. So
thank you so much for. Yeah.
No, that was so much fun. And remember, this is like early days of tech, right?
Right.
And so Paul Schrag and I were in communication regularly. So every night when I would go to the floor, because I was a delegate for Obama, I would just kind of like just write about like, oh my God, the music's amazing and everyone's here and da-da-da-da-da.
The beer's so good.
So everything's so good. I'm so excited. Oh my God. And so, yeah, and Paul was, was it online? And
it was our blog.
Yeah, it was your blog. That's right.
blog.
And then you would print it too. So no, that was a very exciting time in politics.
Yeah.
It
Thanks
really
again.
was. Yeah, that was fun.
An exciting time in politics versus relative.
This is my 5th year in Congress, and it feels like it's been a decade.
Sure. Gosh, I can imagine. Well, you know, you're also, you've achieved a lot of firsts as a congressperson in Washington and the Northwest, and I imagine that comes with its own tiring battles.
Because, I mean, just in general, just the battle of existing in this administration. And, you know, I will just tell you what is really disheartening. I mean, every time someone becomes president, you know, you wish them well. You want them to do well. We kind of knew what we were getting, but it was going to be a lot worse. And so when Project 2025 was making the rounds last year and we saw what was in it, I tell people, you can't be surprised because they spelled it out in broad daylight what they plan to do.
Sure. Yep.
But I would say what's really hard, I think especially as a woman of color, as someone who's African American, just this overt anti-blackness that you are seeing and feeling from this administration. There's just no way, there's no other way to describe it. And I am not prone to being dramatic and saying things that I don't think are true, but this is exactly what this administration is doing.
Right. Which is so depressing.
It is.
You were also, I think, were maybe just recently confirmed during kind of the Stop Asian Hate movement.
Yes.
And for anybody who doesn't know, you're also part Korean as well.
Yes.
So I mean, that was especially prominent in this area because there's a huge, especially Korean population.
Absolutely.
But the AAPI population here really felt that, I think. And how was that, especially in this new position and with this new challenge?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting about me being in Congress is that I belong, so there are affinity caucuses for every different group, and I belong to the Congressional Black Caucus, where I'm secretary, and I'm also part of the Congressional Asia Pacific American Caucus.
Right.
And remember, I got elected during the pandemic, so when we got to Washington, D.C., there was just so much happening around the country that was this anti-Asian rhetoric, anti-Asian hate crimes. And, you know, I heard stories of friends who were standing in line at Home Depot and some stranger would run up on them and just start talking trash about them. Go back to where you came from. You bought COVID here, you know, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of anti-Asian hate crimes are happening. We did pass a bill that addressed anti-Asian hate crimes and all hate crimes in general. But I think there was a feeling in the community. And for a lot of people, and I'm not even faulting anyone for this, but a lot of folks do not know the difference between someone who's Korean and Japanese and Chinese and Filipino and Vietnamese, or how giant the diaspora is. And sometimes they just lump us into one category. So even when my colleagues were talking about, you know, we have to get a check on China, you know, it's China this, China that. And I remember being in a meeting and I said, could you guys just press pause for a second and say Chinese Communist Party? Be very specific about who you're discussing, because when you just make those broad strokes, you put everyone in danger.
Right.
And to their credit, they actually started using that language. And even today, they're very specific. And so I have to give credit where it's due, but it was just a tough time to be Asian American.
Yeah, of course.
It was.
It's funny to bring up how most people just really don't know the difference between you know, what part of you know, Asian heritage you might have. That is actually something that comes up a lot for people who are from Tacoma, is because we pretty much have communities in every diaspora.
We do.
Every section of the diaspora. We do understand those differences. Nate Jackson, very funny local comedian.
I know Nate. I know his parents,
Fantastic.
Thelma and Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has a good 10 minutes about how it's, you know, how you understand the difference and how it's just part of, like, you know, Tacoma's community and just kind of understanding those things, which I love. It's like one of the things that makes Tacoma great, honestly.
Well, Tacoma has one of the largest proportions of mixed race people here.
Absolutely.
Because of the military. And so, like a lot of us, you know, our fathers met our mothers when they were stationed overseas. They got together, and here we are. And so I grew up around people, most of whom were mixed race, some iteration of Black and Japanese, Black and German, Black and Filipino, German and white. And so just a lot of everything.
Of course.
Yeah. 12,000 people or 1,200 people in and out every month.
Yep.
And they come back.
Yep.
Because they, you know, this it's beautiful here.
It is. It is. This is the second most requested duty station in the country.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Behind
That's so
Pearl Harbor.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense. We tie Tacoma's sort of history of immigration to the kind of contemporary craft beer world, especially.
Yeah.
Tacoma had really great water, but we also had a port, and a lot of German, European, Balkan immigrants came, and a lot of those guys knew how to make beer for 1,000 years prior to coming to the U.S. And so early on, Tacoma was responsible for some of the best beer that was being made in the country. Yeah. And so there's, we talk a lot about how it's there's something about beer, especially good beer, that's kind of in the DNA of this city in a way.
It really is.
Yeah. Did you ever, like, you were the mayor of Tacoma when a lot of the businesses, like the sweetheart businesses of the beer world were opening.
Right.
I don't know. Was the beer world on your radar, or it was separate from the small business world in general, or did it all kind of feel
No,
like...
I mean, I always consider it part of the small business world. But so here's an interesting story to tell. So I left Tacoma for a while, and I lived in Atlanta for 5 years, and then I returned here in 1992. And I remember just going around downtown in some of the neighborhoods, and there was this place called the Swiss I had never heard of. And I was like, well, what's going on up in there, right? And so they were doing their thing. I remember Katie Downs was new.
Oh, yeah.
And I think about, and going to the Parkway for the first time. This is when the pool table was still in the middle before the car crashed into the side of the building.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I know, right? OG here.
Yeah.
But I just think about going to a wedding at the Mountaineers Hall, going to Katie Downs afterwards with people. And I said, well, listen to me, I thought it was all fancy. I was like, oh, would you like something to drink? I said, I'll have a Killian's Red.
Oh, all right.
And my friends whose wedding I attended, they were like, oh, you're fancy. And then look at me now. With
Look at you now, no
Thelonious,
kidding.
Talking about all these different things. But I think about the evolution
That
of
beer got me into craft beer.
Right?
Yeah, it went from Killian's to Red Hook.
Yeah. Well, so I worked at Starbucks before they were big and global and fancy at the roasting plant on Airport Way. And I remember Pyramid Brewing Company opened a place on First Avenue. And that was like the spot, right? It was so like, oh my God, Pyramid Brewing's amazing. And so, and then remember, Starbucks and Red Hook did some espresso beer together.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know how well that did, but but it just kind of shows you the evolution of beer culture in the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yeah, Pacific Brewing opened up on your watch. So did Wingman.
Yes.
So did Odd Otter.
Oh my God,
So
Odd
did you.
Otter was
Yeah.
amazing. Yes.
So did you.
So did I.
So it's really funny, Ron, because I was looking at, you said 9th anniversary. I was like, well, that was under my watch too.
Yeah.
So, but I think,
Certainly.
but I think when you think about the culture of brewing, it's in Tacoma's DNA. We have a neighborhood called the Brewery District,
Absolutely.
and so it was not surprising to see all these, breweries pop up.
Right.
Yeah.
And the public kind of adopt it as sort of a culture in and of itself.
And it's hard not to be a beer snob when you're on the East Coast.
That's a good point.
That's very true. That's very real.
Yeah.
Ron, kind of, you sort of touched on a question I was going to ask anyway, but what do you remember your first, beer and then also your first fancy beer? Was it Killian's or was it something else that maybe turned that on?
So I'm about to confess something, but I'm old now. So I think I had my first beer when I was underage at the Java Jive when I was in high school.
Yo, don't leave Doug hanging out. This is the scandal of the decade, I think.
I may not be reelected next year. So that's okay. We know where it happened.
It would totally be our fault.
Yeah. So so the Java. So that's where I had my first beer. It was underage. It was probably Miller High Life with the long neck, right? But it tasted so good. I mean, to this day, I still love a Miller
it's the
High Life
champagne of beers.
long neck in the summertime. It is the champagne of beers, not to be confused with champagne.
Right?
That's absolutely.
Which is malt liquor.
Nope.
So I'd say that. So that's the first one I had. And then again, as I spoke about, what I've evolved with my palate now, even though I don't really drink, I would say that these
Belgian
Belgians
style.
are just heavy, sweet, full of flavor. I really like them. But again, the spectrum, I either like lagers and pilsners or I like the heavy Belgians, but not really much in between.
Fair enough.
Fair.
Yeah.
Killian's being a gateway beer is.
It was a gateway
it
beer.
was.
I really thought I was fancy. I was. I did.
I also drank it underage.
Let's see. At Java Jive?
No.
Oh. now that we're outing establishments.
Actually, Fort Lewis.
Speaking of the base.
Yeah.
Java Jive had pitchers of beer for $2.50.
Yeah.
Yes.
They had frosted plastic cafeteria glasses. They would frost them in the freezer.
Yeah.
Plastic.
Yeah.
No, and I remember a couple of
17, 18, you get a picture.
There were monkeys in those displays. And
Java and Jive.
And then I remember the non-smoking section. It was one table by the door that had one chair. And I'm sure it is still there.
The whole restaurant was like, that's where the losers sit.
That's excellent.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
What should we hope for? Like, what is the best outcome of the shutdown?
So the best outcome for the shutdown is that the Republicans come to the table and they may not say this out loud, but they're going to realize all these cuts to health care, these 15 million people getting kicked off of it, the food stamps that people aren't going to get through SNAP benefits, the women and children, the people getting kicked out of nursing home. Wait a minute. That affects us and the people who voted for me and for the president and in my district.
Right.
And they're going to say, okay, we do need to come to the table and do something. I do not know what that's going to look like, and I cannot sit here and pretend to negotiate in public, but there's going to come a time when they're going to have to say, okay, let's play. And let's get government reopened. Let's not lurch to another possible shutdown at the end of November. Let's do something substantive. And then we just try to get on with the business of taking the House back in 2026.
Sure. So it's an uphill battle, but there certainly could be a light.
There could be, and I tell folks, like, you have to maintain some amount of optimism. Otherwise, it would be really hard to justify going 7 hours door to door every week to go fight in Washington, D.C. for the people.
Sure.
When the Democrats do take it over in 2026, it's just going to be a plethora of changes.
Yeah.
It's just going to be constant change.
Well, it'll be constant change because we're going to have to try and rebuild some of the things that were torn down. And understand, too, we still have to try and take the Senate back as well. So it's not just, we took the House back, hooray, everything is good.
Right.
Trump will still be in the White House.
Right.
But this will be the one backstop to all the bad things happening. And, someone asked me one time, they said, what message would you have for the Republicans who've been engaging in this outlandish, illegal, unconstitutional behavior? And my colleague, Eric Swalwell of California, said it really well. Lawyer up, because the House Oversight Committee and Judiciary Committee will be coming for people. Sure. And they should.
Sure.
And someone else better lawyer up again, too.
I do. So we mentioned kind of before is like, the craft beverage sector, wine, cider, beer, all of this stuff kind of, the majority of the consumer base are folks that have disposable income in some way, and sort of choose to participate in these small businesses and these kind of specialty markets. And as the cost of living does go up, do you feel like there's anything that like policymakers, especially in Washington, where like the cost of living is kind of famously high, anything that we can learn from the popularity of like affordability platforms that seem to like be going viral? I mean, New York is about to elect a mayor that is very focused on affordability, which does kind of affect the light at the end of the tunnel for industries like the craft beer industry. Do you feel like there's sort of something from that rubric that we can take?
So, Doug has heard me say this a few times now on these interviews with Channel 253, and I say this, that it feels like we've lost the plot sometimes because the American people are not asking for anything extraordinary, right? They want housing they can afford, whether they rent or buy. They want access to a job that pays well, that has good benefits. They want to be able to start a business and not have it be cumbersome and horrible.
Yeah.
They want access to health care that's not going to break them financially. They want safe neighborhoods, good schools for their kids, right? And then when they're retirement age, they want access to the retirement into which they've been contributing and are justifiably entitled to receive. But the bigger thing, too, here, and I think about the whole concept of freedom and what this country's about, is like, and people just want to be left alone to live their lives in peace. Yeah. And it sometimes feels like with all the arguing about everything else, we've kind of lost the plot. And this is why the healthcare debate is so important, because that's a big part of the plot. It's about economic security.
Sure.
And I just completely forgot the question you asked me. What did you ask me?
It's like with industries like this kind of being dependent on people who can afford to live.
So
platforms of affordability seem to be getting very popular.
Platforms of affordability are very popular because everyone is feeling it.
Right.
And what's interesting too about affordability, we tend to think of affordability in the context of people at the lowest end of the income scale. Mm-hmm. And what is happening right now is that people who are working and paying taxes and doing everything we ask them to do, they're feeling squeezed by this. And that's why there's a lot of anger that's coming from folks.
Those are
like, wait a minute.
Customers.
Right, no, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think the affordability question is, there are many levers you push. It's local government, it's state government, it's federal government, it's having an adequate supply of housing, it's having jobs that people are ready to do. I mean, we still have jobs in this country that go unfilled.
Right.
And so I tell people, I said, there's so many jobs that are still unfilled. And then there's the whole conversation about immigration and how we leverage the talent of people who can help make our economy stronger, allowing you all to have more customers, creating more jobs, right? It's all connected to each other. And so I think that the affordability argument is strong, but you have to be more specific about how you're going to make that real. And I think that's why there's a lack of trust in government sometimes. People say they're going to do all these things, and then they get there, and either the system is hostile and won't let you do it, or it's just really hard to make that lift and make it happen. Mm-hmm. But affordability is a great message, absolutely, because it's about economic security.
Right.
I think due to the presence of our esteemed guest here, we have not used a word that we use frequently on this podcast, which is fuck.
Okay.
That is true.
And I'm glad you said it.
This was about to be the only one where I went through the whole show and didn't say it once.
I feel honored to break the ice.
So were you holding back because of me?
I think they are. I'll say fuck any time.
100%.
But to our point here, do you have a fuck up story?
All right, Grit and Grainers, I'm Sean Jackson, and I fuck up all the God-blessed time, as we all do. So, please do regale us with your fuck-up stories.
We traditionally have fuck-up stories, and they're often in the beer industry, but don't have to be, and they're often when people are almost killed, and it doesn't have to be.
It's a little too on the nose for a congresswoman, I think, sometimes.
So when did you just fuck up?
Let me think about this. I think about fucking up in the context of being ill-prepared to do an interview with a local conservative host. And my comms, our office was kind of relatively new at the time, and we were like in a rush, like, oh my God, you're going to get a media bite. Let's do it. I did an interview from the cloakroom off the house floor, and there are these little tiny phone booths. It was poorly lit. I had my phone like this. I just wasn't prepared, and it went really badly. Now, the good news is that people have a really short attention span. And so we probably remember that interview much longer than other folks did. But here's what I said in the interview. I said, the way this administration is going, don't be surprised if the Supreme Court tries to get rid of marriage equality and if they come after interracial marriage. And the host laughed about it, and it got all over social media. They were clowning me about it. And think about it now. Does it seem that far-fetched what I said? Nope. So at the time, we thought it was a complete screw-up. But if you look at the direction of the Supreme Court, maybe not so much. And she actually said, she goes, well, do you think Clarence Thomas would really vote against his own interests? I said, he does it all the time.
Seriously.
Well, of course he would.
It's famous for that.
Of course he would. Of course he would. And so I would say, so kind of a fuck up, but then also kind of prescient. But here's a question I'm going to ask you all.
Sure.
What's your favorite curse word?
Well, we just started saying mine.
No, and it can
Really?
Really?
I don't know if I can say it.
I can guess Doug's because of your affinity to.
It's a popular Scottish term.
Is it a popular term that they use in the UK?
Yes.
Because there's a word they use in the UK pretty liberally.
Yeah.
That is really lewd to us.
Yes,
certainly.
They call everyone that.
Yes.
We're in the same place.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I knew
what I'm
that was
talking about. Like
Shirley Manson from Garbage has this video
yeah.
online where she describes how this word should be used.
yeah, and it's used to describe men. It's,
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So you all know what we're talking
Okay, so mine is actually not fuck.
Okay.
Mine is my favorite patois word, and the reason that it's funnier, especially now, is because of course there's a terrible hurricane that just went over
Yes.
Jamaica,
Yeah.
and the very first bit of live footage that was aired on the news was a giant wave hitting a jetty and somebody yelling "bomba clat" on air, which
what does that mean?
it's I mean it's a pretty
Is it
general.
lewd?
It's I mean it's not lewd, but it's we
Yeah.
a lot of folks would use it to as an interjection for pretty much any expression. It's basically saying fuck on the air of a news channel.
Oh,
But because American news anchors might not
They
be as
don't get
familiar
it,
with
right.
that vernacular,
Interesting.
they just aired somebody
Sounds
saying
cute.
fuck in patois. But that is 100% my favorite cuss word.
Ron?
What is mine, Kate?
Of course.
No, I know what yours is. So we'll just go as team fuck.
All right, fair enough. Bethany?
Like my first thought was balls, but I never say that. Like balls. But I never really actually say that like in the moment. I usually scream fuck. Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
I think clusterfuck or asshat or
Ass hat.
That's a good one.
I was
That
like,
rolls
eat
off
it,
the tongue. doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you got to hear mine. So it's not necessarily just the F word. It's like the fuck.
Phrases.
Kind of.
It's like what the.
Yeah.
Sit the fuck down.
Yeah.
Shut the.
It's the ability to convey. It's the ability to convey
Yeah.
intense emotions with.
Yes, exactly. So it's like the.
Leave it to Marilyn Strickland to turn that entire fuck up story around so she gets the fucks out of us.
That's true. I know.
That's my representative.
That's right.
All right, fuckers. Email us shares at gritandgrainpodcast.com with your comments, opinions, and your best theories on what exactly a government shutdown does to the morale of the yeast population currently stalled in fermenters across America.
Holy shit.
Are they unionizing, filing for back pay, drafting a strongly worded letter to the Department of Fermentation? Huge thanks to Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland for joining us on Between Floor Votes and Reality Checks, reminding us that global policy isn't just some distant thunder. It's the very thing that decides whether your next pint costs $12 or your brewery's malt bill gets repossessed by fate and archived in a folder that definitely, absolutely doesn't exist. And yes, we now know that she drinks NA beer, proving that you can be completely sober and still brave the halls of Congress. Much respect. We read and drink everything we receive, and we try to respond as fast as we can, if not online, then on air. You can subscribe to Grit and Grain on Amazon, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. And please, for the love of democracy and decent Pilsners, leave us a review. Also, check us out on channel 253. And gritandgrainpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for episode notes, beer news, and updates from those surreal days when everything feels a little like C-SPAN shot through a pint glass of mosaic hops. If this podcast is not what you expected, please alter your expectations.
Please.
Shutdowns and beer persists. The TTB powers up their servers and immediately drowns in a foamy tsunami of cleverly coded protest beers, each one insisting it's just hops, not politics. Promise. No such thing as a bad time to visit Tacoma.
Hell no.
Never.
No such thing as too much barley wine. Maryland. Tune in next Friday for more sweet chat. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you so much. Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us at Grit and Grain Podcast wherever you get your social media and catch new episodes every Friday. Cheers.
Get up.
Channel 253 is member supported. I'm producer Doug Mackey, and I hope you will show your support by going to channel253.com/membership and join. Thank you. Grit and Grain is part of the Channel 253 podcast network. Check out our other shows: Nerd Farmer, Move to Tacoma, Interchangeable White Ladies, What Say You, Citizen Tacoma, and Kitchen 253.
This is Channel 253.